Drink alkaline water and it makes your cells alkalytic.
The closer you are to nature, the healthier you'll be.
All right, and happy Saturday, everyone. You are in the Mind of Nature, hosted by Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist. We are live streaming on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we are on Instagram. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you're coming in, please go ahead and share the live, like the live, and all those live things things that we want to see you do. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today, and for anyone that is watching the replay, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. We have a great show lined up today. We are going to be talking about what's trending in the news, and we've heard about it before. What is a virus? We're going to be talking about that. Also, different types of virus, and then general ways to protect yourself from viruses. Okay, so have your pens and paper ready and set, because we're gonna, or Dr. Zarif will say, is gonna break it down to us, so we can have a great understanding of what a virus is and just how to protect ourselves and our families. So Dr. Zarif, go ahead and join me here on stage so we can get started. Grand rising to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. It is loud in the studio for some reason. It's pretty loud. Uh, Carolyn, can you turn anything down from where you are?
Um, I don't think so. As far as the volume is concerned,
Yes, it's pretty loud. And you see, I've turned down.
mm, I
Let
mean,
me see.
just the volume of your computer itself is what I'm thinking. Um,
Yeah, I'm doing that now. I'm turning down the computer itself, and I have it down to. Yeah, it's not loud at all.
okay.
Okay. All right.
There.
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things. Perhaps we'll get it together in a second here. But I want to welcome everybody. We're very glad to hear you, or to see you, and to hear from you later on as we get more into our show. Um, I'm still a little befuzzled here. Because of the things that we. Okay, all right. So anyway, despite this challenge, we're definitely are having a problem here. It's hard for me to concentrate. Uh, Give us 1 second here. Let me see.
So as Dr. Zarif is working on that, I'm just going to be saying hello to a few folks as you're coming in. We're having some technical difficulties, but we are going to work on it. Let me see here. Shirley Gentle Smart, good morning to you. Happy Saturday. Denise Kane, good morning to you. Happy Saturday. As you are, or as we are working on the issue, I asked if you can share the live, because we have some great information Dr. Zarif is going to share with us. I'm sure if you are all aware of the trending topic right now, which is the virus that is out there. Dr. Zarif is going to be breaking down just how and what a virus is, really, how that comes about. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Dr. James, good morning to you. Good morning. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. Dr. Zarif, let me know if you are ready, um, or if something has changed with your equipment. Let me. I'm gonna. I'll bring you back on stage. Here we go. All right, you're on.
Okay, thank you very much, Carolyn. We're
Well,
going to go ahead and just talk about. We're talking about some of the misunderstandings that they have, that people have about the hantavirus. The hantavirus is, well. First of all, let's just talk about what virus is itself, and what happens is that when the virus hits or it starts to spread, we pretty much get frightened out of our minds because the way that it's broken down. Um, oh, something just happened that's way better. Um, can you hear me, Karen? Hello? Okay, yeah. Okay, good. It's something on your side, I think, because it just went all the way quiet. So whatever you just did, it oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to say hello again. All right, I'm going to just go and get into this virus thing because one of the things that we're talking about, and I see this already, is that food is starting to trend. I mean, just all kinds of food, not just vegan, but all types of food, fried in all kinds of ways, all kinds of oils. People haven't been paying attention to the health of it as much as they are the presentation of it, the aesthetics, with the things that they see and what they smell, like the basic stuff, your five senses. New stores are opening. Some stores are open for the reasons of helping people to eat healthier. And then you have other stores that are open because it's trending. It's like it's going to be hot. Remember, we just talked about some of the Irish moss, sea moss. Maybe there are other names for it, but that was trending and that trend for a couple of years. And now soursop is on the uprise. It's like everybody's talking about soursop. Everybody wants to get soursop. Then remember there was the black seed oil. Now, what I want you to do is look at the pattern of these trends. They come and they go. People overdo it, but it doesn't make us healthier because people are using these foods or these supplements as just they're entertaining. It's a hobby. And eating is not a hobby, eating is a lifestyle. And the more that people are eating according to what is trending, all we'll do is go in these circles. Now, at the same time, we're finding out that we're not, as far as black people in our community, we're not supporting a lot of, especially the voting in different states, Georgia, many other states. We're there. We're like 62% of the population there, but we're not coming out and we're not supporting the voting as we should. Some of us we do that in a trending way. Talking about this trending situation because it doesn't last. Again, even voting isn't a hobby. These are things that will affect our lives. Roland Martin said it best when he said that, what in the world is happening in these cities, and when we have the majority of the city are African American people or American Africans, however you see that. But you know that we're talking in general. I'll be using black people because we understand where I'm coming from when I'm saying that without any disrespect whatsoever. But I know we constantly evolve and we change and names change and all that. Now, back to the point of hobby versus a lifestyle. When we are talking about some of these stores, you're going to see restaurants pop up. You have the different mobile restaurants now, the mobile fast food restaurants there, and
all over the place now. It is a trend. I've never seen it like this before in my lifetime. But people are, although it seems that because we have some people that are more vegan now, vegan people are changing to eat in a vegan lifestyle, and that's beautiful. It's nothing. I'm not saying that anything is wrong with that. I'm saying that right now, when we're talking about so many things that really inculcate the black culture, that we have to pay attention to those things that really matter, and not to be just taking as jerks, just, a person that said, "Ooh, this is on sale, get it," or she or he or they are eating a certain way, and then you say, "Yeah, I like that, get it," because it's a fad. So keep those things in mind. Nothing really substitutes whole food, plant-based. Plant-based whole foods are the rich whole food, and they're the foods that originated as far as the healthy foods for our different tribes. Food's still very important. We don't eat like that anymore because of in the same wild way I'm speaking of, when people were living in caves. Now I'm not talking about cavemen. I'm talking about tribes that went to make their homes in the sides of caves, and you had others that still stayed out in the forest. You had people that lived all around the world in different areas, but we still don't have this eating thing together because we're still eating just like we're wild and uncivil. When you look at the vegan restaurants today, a high percentage, something like 95% of everything in that vegan place is fried, is deep fried, and people are continuing to eat these foods that have produced these different substances, like on the skin or in the meat, like acrylamide, for instance. People are eating these foods that have the potential of causing cancer. Yeah, it tastes good, but it also puts your entire life in danger. So let's look at some of the things, like what is a virus? A virus is made of genetic material. That's your DNA and your deoxynucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. And this is important to know because this is how it affects all bodies, all cultures, all races. Now, the protective protein coat, this is what it's made of, so I don't get lost up in here when I'm talking about what is a virus. The virus is made of the genetic material, DNA, RNA, a protective protein coat, sometimes a fatty outer envelope. The viruses spread through air droplets, and that includes when we talk and we have an aerosol shooting from our mouths. If you want to avoid the virus, which you'll hear me say a few times today, is don't be in these crowds. You in the crowds, you have no idea where people have been, what they've been touching, what's coming out their mouths. And I know it sounds a little finicky, but look, this is one of the viruses that is life-threatening. All of them are, but this one is rare, and it can be it moves very rapidly, and it happens. One of the ways that it happens is when you're around a large amount of people. So air droplets, that includes sneezing, it includes the coughing, touching contaminated surfaces, and that can just be anywhere you are where it's been other people touch knobs, they touch the surface, counters, driving that car, if you're using somebody else's vehicle. So keep in mind these things. You've heard them before, but these are things that you can keep in mind. Touching contaminated surfaces along with the blood or bodily fluids, insects or animals, food or water contamination. And once inside the body, the virus is attached to cells and they enter them. And they also multiply. So some viruses cause mild illness, while other viruses can lead to severe disease, or it can lead to death. I want you to keep that in mind. This isn't something that you go and get some over-the-counter product and just say, okay, I'm all set. You really should have professional help. You talk to your doctor, your medical team, talk to those people that are very learned in these in the fields of medicine. Now, there are people that just take herbs for everything, but herbs do not solve everything. There are reasons that we've evolved medicine and reasons we've evolved science because things change, and for the most part, they get better. Now, most current viruses being closely monitored are the health agencies like CDC, which is a mess right now. Because of these ridiculous politicians that have no idea what they're talking about, but they have the authority. They have the authority to stop, or the authority to add to, or to change altogether what should be the majority belief about certain diseases and certain answers, or I would say resolutions to those diseases. And one, I'm definitely dodging the word cure, because that seems not to be the word that really works with what we're talking about. But management, you can't cure it, but you can manage it. So keep that in mind. There are several important viruses worldwide. So now we want to get into a little bit about what is it anyway, and the different types of hantavirus. Now, we talked about another, COVID-19. I'll get into that in a minute. But this hantavirus, this is the virus that you might have seen on TV. So I'm going to stop for a minute. Go ahead, Carolyn, let's drop that video.
This morning, officials are racing to contain the deadly hantavirus outbreak that has killed 3 people. Several states, including Arizona, Georgia, and California, monitoring cruise ship passengers for possible infections. Teams in protective gear transporting 3 patients to emergency flights bound for Amsterdam. This as contact tracing has started on anyone who may have been exposed to sick patients earlier in the trip who disembarked at different locations. One such traveler was removed from a KLM flight in Johannesburg a day before her death. KLM saying due to the passenger's medical condition at the time, the crew decided not to allow the passenger to travel on the flight. 88 of those passengers from that flight now being tracked by the World Health Organization after possibly being exposed. And the WHO says a Swiss man who had returned home with his wife tested positive for hantavirus on Wednesday. He remains hospitalized. There are now 11 suspected cases of hantavirus infection from that ship, 5 testing positive in a lab. Hantavirus is a respiratory infection with no treatment and can kill up to 40% of those infected. The World Health Organization says testing so far identified the rare Andes strain, which can spread from person to person.
That is the species that has been identified on the cruise ship. And so that's why they're starting to worry more and more about the potential for person-to-person spread on the cruise ship.
Health officials now suspect the first victim to contract the virus picked it up in Argentina before getting on the ship. In mid-March, he'd visited a landfill during a bird-watching tour, and officials suspect he contracted it from rodents. The captain announces his death weeks ago, telling those on board the man was not infectious before anyone knew it was hantavirus.
This is my sad duty to inform you that one of our passengers sadly passed away last night. I'm told by the doctor we're not infectious. so the ship is safe when it comes to that.
But that man likely spread it to his wife, who also died. Ruhi Chenet was a passenger on the ship and says the cruise continued as normal.
Since we were not informed of any contagious disease, everyone was relaxed.
Medical teams are monitoring the nearly 150 people still on board, including 17 Americans, as they make their way to the Canary Islands in Spain. The State Department telling ABC News the Trump administration has no higher priority than the safety and security of Americans, and they are ready to assist any affected Americans.
Now you know that about the hantavirus, especially today, what's going on. Let's bring you even more up to date. Some of the recent outbreaks in this year have increased the global attention of the hantavirus. So what is the hantavirus? The hantavirus viruses are carried mainly by rodents. Of course, that's the mice and the rats. And if this is appropriate for you, then there's time to make some moves as far as the getting rid of these rodents in where you're living or where you are, where you work, what have you. I know that there are a lot of places that actually have rodents at a high amount, meaning that they go with, for instance, the restaurants. When you go to restaurants or places of fast food restaurants and people that have different places, especially fast food, even the sit-down restaurants, the rats and the mice are a part of that. In New York, they have a huge problem with, still have some of the field rats that they eat away at parts of the motor. So the rubber part and the connections and all of that. So these are, if you're thinking about, well, I'm not around any rats, but a lot of rats and mice may be in a place that you work or you frequently visit. People become infected by breathing in the dust contaminated with rodent urine or droppings. So you don't know about some of the stuff you can't even see. If you're breathing in dust, you're not even aware that you do like that, and you keep on going. Touching contaminated surfaces, rarely through bites, meaning that it happens rarely through a bite. Like if a dog bites you or an animal stings you or something like that, it rarely happens that way with mice and rats. And the Andes strain, prolonged close human contact, and it may spread infection. So again, this prolonged close human contact, which means that you're not moving through the crowd, or you're not you're on a bus, for instance, and maybe you're taking a long trip, 2 hours, and you've been there just sitting in that or even traveling on a plane, where you might be on the plane for 5 hours, 6 hours, 3 hours, and the breathing of that contaminated dust or the contamination from people that are in the proximity of a person actually spewing out the different, sneezing, and it might not be just sneezing, but some of the infectious agents that are in the air. Unlike bacteria, viruses are not living organisms on their own, and they cannot reproduce without a host. They can infect humans. They can infect your dog, your cat, and they can infect your plants. Now, most viruses are being closely monitored. Make sure that you stay up on this because it's one of those things that are very, very easy to affect you. Now, some of the symptoms of hantavirus is fever, fatigue, muscle aches, headache, severe symptoms can be the shortness of breath, lung failure. It can also be kidney failure, low blood pressure, and the Andes strain can have a highly fatality rate. So if you do get these particular symptoms, you need to check it out really early. Now, meaning that, go right away. And if you think that you may be infected, it's good to go and get checked out. Where? That's at your hospital, your clinic, your urgent care center, wherever they give tests for this particular virus. The protection against the hantavirus seal the holes where rodents enter homes. So if you're in, again, if it's not appropriate, if that's appropriate to you, then that means take action. Avoid sweeping rodent droppings dry. So, like people see the little balls that they get, rabbits have those, and rats and other different rodents that may be around. You don't want these to be sweeping around dry, because again, it creates the dust, and the dust is inhaled by the human. Spray contaminated areas with disinfectant first. Remember that. Spray contaminated areas with disinfectant first. And that's instead of, doing the brushing, sweeping up and all that stuff, and then scraping them up or putting them in a shovel and moving that around. Make sure you put disinfectant down first and then follow up by cleaning them up, okay? Wear your gloves and your mask when you're cleaning. Don't get so cool where you think, oh man, ain't nothing gonna happen to me, I got this. Okay. Store food securely. That's important. Storing your food securely where you have it in a place where is not where you have the rats and mice in, like maybe storage, for instance. You can tell when rats and mice are around somewhere because they always leave a trail of their little balls or defecation around, and you're like, what is that? And that is what's happening there, for those of you that don't know. Keep your homes and your storage areas clean as you should. Clean doesn't mean to straighten up. It means to wash down. It means to mop. It means to wipe off. It means to disinfect. And avoid sleeping in rodent-infested cabins or sheds. This is very important. If your living situation is there, or you're going on camping trips, all of these things should be kept in mind, okay? The other different types of, there are other different types of, for instance, influenza, avian influenza, and that's another name for bird flu. It's another name for H5N1, and that is a different strain of flu. And some of the symptoms include fever, the cough, the eye infection, and severe pneumonia. Also, the protection against the avian flu would be to avoid the contact with sick birds. And you might say, what in the hell is a bird? Well, some people do collect chickens. They, especially in some parts where the more rural areas where people have animals, and they may have a little makeshift farm. These are things, avoid making contact with, like maybe chicks or your chickens or roosters that may be sick. Also, cook the poultry thoroughly. That means that you want to make sure that you're using the heat as a way to also get rid of the bacteria, and that's one thing. And then also the different types of viruses. Make sure you wash your hands after animal exposure. You've been playing with your dog, or you've been playing with your cat, or you've been playing with your hamster. It's really, that's very important. And use protective equipment around livestock. COVID-19, we get along on the third type of virus here. And the COVID-19, it continues to circulate globally with the new variants emerging periodically. So we still hear about that. It started, of course, about 2020, and today being 2025, this goes very fast. So we want you to stay current with vaccines. What I say, 2025? Okay, sorry, 2026. Yeah, that's fast. So thank you. And stay current with vaccines. Improve the indoor ventilation. Wash your hands regularly. Wear a mask in crowded indoor spaces when outbreaks rise. And stay home when you're sick, because it is something that's easy for you to spread. There's also a RSV, which stands for respiratory syncytial. There you go, syncytial virus, and that RSV, or the respiratory syncytial virus, especially affects infants. It affects old adults and people with weakened immune system. And while I'm talking about that, I want to go right into comorbidities. Now, you've heard of comorbidities, meaning that in addition to your sickness, there are other illnesses and other symptoms. So it's very important for you to be alert with your immune system. Your immune system, it seeks out, it identifies, it kills, and it also remembers. That's you're talking about your spleen, your kidney, your liver. You're talking about your digestive system, your lymphatic system. All of this makes up the immune system that fights against bacteria, fights against different things, just like your viruses, that what we're talking about now. Some of the symptoms could be, as far as RSV, a runny nose, wheezing, difficulty breathing, very, very afraid. So when you're a child or is freaking out because of that, or it might be another loved one that is very, very scary, because difficulty breathing, that's when you realize that you can only breathe through your mouth and you can breathe through your nose. Now, most people don't use their diaphragm when they're breathing, so they only up here in the chest. So you will hear that difficulty breathing. Now, the protection against that, it goes back to that really simple but very important: washing your hands, avoiding close contact with sick. With them talking about sick people, sick animals, is very important. And vaccines are now available for some groups. Okay, so you want to check all that out. You can use some time to find out exactly what's going on. How can you protect yourself? And a lot of this stuff is what I'm reading to you now, so that you can keep in mind of what you can do, how long you should be doing it, what you should be taking, how much you should be taking. Now, Mpox is another, you haven't heard of a lot about Mpox, but the Mpox continues to appear globally, especially newer strains in parts of Africa. So rodents is really, like, for instance, there are parts of Africa where people still eat bush animals. So that would be like we're talking about the rodents, even monkeys, and it might be anteaters, or it might be other animals that are bush animals. And some of the symptoms that you may be getting, if you get any symptoms at all, would be a rash or blisters, also fever and swollen lymph nodes. And that's, lymph nodes are usually swollen when there's an infection in place. So these are also warnings. Now let's talk about the protection. Avoid skin to skin contact with infected individuals. Skin to skin is really easy to happen when you're around a lot of people. You at the concert, you're not thinking about that. You're in a packed car, you're not thinking about that. You are like even using a public transportation like Waymo, for instance, or your cabs, or Lyft, or Uber. All of these can be ways that you can contract very innocently the different viruses that we're talking about. Now, the mpox also, if I can get past this, yes, as you see in all of the situations, washing your hands. You see how easy that is? Just washing your hands is easy, but sometimes when you're used to certain routines, so especially putting your hands in your mouth, touching something, and then before you wash your hands, you're using your hands of your food, or eating potato chips or something of that nature, popcorn, nuts. All of those things are easy ways to just forget that you can be spreading the virus there, or the virus is spreading around you. Now, again, back to your immune system. As a nutrition specialist, you already can appreciate. I know that you can already appreciate the critical lifestyle is in disease prevention. And when you eat these foods, don't wait until you get the Hantavirus and say, I got to eat better. Start now as you hear these words, starting today. Remember, a healthier person has lower chances of risk. It has lower risk. So this is good when you take care of yourself. When you're sick and then you contract some kind of virus or bacteria, it makes it easier for that bacteria or that virus to spread. Makes sense? Also, keep protective habits. And then these habits include whole food, plant-based nutrition. We always say that. Whole food, the proper hydration, consistent sleep. And this is very important, to sleep deeply and have uninterrupted sleep, okay? Exercise, stress reduction, sunlight and vitamin D balance, and these support immune resilience and reduce chronic inflammation. So this is really important. If you don't remember anything else I said, remember whole food, plant-based nutrition. This starts to help you immediately. So you want to get all of those different colors and all those beautiful aromas into your cart and add it to your list of foods to get. Okay, now for hygiene measures. Remember I said this, and I know, Carolyn, you remember this when I used to say, really when we go out to a restaurant, what should we have? We should be covered. The cooks, the people that are serving the food to us. But because of the style, because of the like the way that it looks good for a person to come out, and this has a lot to do with it. If a person appears to be healthy, then we just say, hey, nah, this person, they look like they okay. We're gonna go for it, because it's a big gamble. But the hygiene measures like wash your hands often, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and your mouth. Clean frequently touched surfaces, cover coughs and sneezes. All of this is really important. Like your cough and your sneeze should be right there in the fold of your arm. And you see some people that they just cough and then they keep on talking. The thing about it, you can get so sick even if you don't lose your life. You can get so sick that you would definitely regret being around somebody that has no idea that they're spreading the virus through those bad habits. So if you want to improve the air quality, this is something that would also reduce your chances of viruses, because many viruses spread through air. Now, the helpful measures would be open windows. It would be the use of the HEPA is a filter. HEPA filtration is one of the ways you can also keep your air clean. And these are things that you can go out and do today. You're going to go and spend $75 on just for you eating at a restaurant. Give that a rest if you saying it costs, this costs a lot of money, and make those necessary adjustments so that we can keep you around as long as you want to be. Avoid crowded indoor spaces during outbreaks. Avoid crowded indoor spaces. Again, I know going to the movies and going to church. When you have a lot of people packed on people, you may want to just cover your mouth and your nose, making sure that you're touching a lot of people. You might want to change that to a little fist bump, but even then, you want to make sure that they're fist bumping back. But even then, it's just again, it can be very open to these different viruses. Avoid the crowded indoor, not just indoor, but remember again in your different public traveling, including your trains and subways, so on. Avoid the animal exposure risk. Now, many dangerous viruses they're zoonotic. And zoonotic is actually those like the viruses that spread from animals. And that's when you hear zoonotic, you're talking about those animals like dogs and cats and wild or exotic animals, all of those. I believe it does not include fish, but in May, so it's worth looking in. Be cautious around rodents, wild birds, bats, and sick animals. And finally, we talk about the vaccination, because most people are like, vaccines remain one of the strongest protections against severe viral disease for viruses where the vaccines exist. Sorry. So when we're talking about these vaccines that exist, we're talking about what we're facing with today, and it's important to have the perspective about viruses. Like, for instance, most viruses do not become pandemics. They come and they go for a short period of time. For example, experts currently believe that the recent Andes Hantavirus outbreak is unlikely to become another COVID-style pandemic because it spreads poorly between humans and usually requires prolonged close contact. So keep that in mind. It requires prolonged close contact, okay? So again, you want to, if you don't have to be around the crowd, avoid it as much as you can. You heard the report about the large ship, and people were on the cruise, and you had many people out of all of the people that were on the cruise get sick. Some people have been said to have died already from it. So you just don't, it's not worth the chance to take it. You can do it without looking paranoid or being paranoid by just simply passing or doing some of the things that I'm suggesting to you now. Most viruses, they do not become pandemic. So that should give you some release there. Still, global travel, environmental disruption, climate change, and declining vaccination rates are increasing to the risk of the emerging virus or viral outbreaks worldwide. So some people still aren't taking the vaccine. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you this, and I know people don't want to hear this. If we didn't have vaccines right now, we would have lost many people that we love, because vaccines have been proven to help when it comes to even childhood diseases, when it comes to other, like the pandemic and things of that nature. I know that it gets a little scary sometimes, and some people say, hell no, I'm not getting it. Well, if you are a person that's not sickly, there may be a better chance that you don't get sick from it. But if you are already a sickly person, you should be watching what you're doing and considering the important perspective about viruses, the important perspective about bacteria. So keep that in mind as we move through our day. I'm going to stop for a moment because there may be some questions or some comments, and we want to definitely be able to reply. Okay, getting back to Carolyn.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Zarif. Are you able to hear me? Is my audio good on your end?
Your audio is definitely, the background is high. But it's okay. We almost there.
All right, no problem. I don't see any questions, just more greetings and good morning from everyone. We have Jonathan Blakely. Hello, welcome, welcome. And Rachel Taylor, Leah Long. Hello, welcome, welcome. Dr. Reverend Diva D. Coates. Diva D. Coates. Yes, there it is. Hello to you and happy birthday to you again. Virginia Watson and Michael Everett. All in the chat with greetings, good morning, and all the things. Thank you all so much for joining us here in the Mind of Nature. And Dr. Zarif, you brought up some really great points. At work, when I'm at work, I still wear a mask, and I've been doing that ever since COVID. Okay, because where I work, it's a high traffic area. You always have people coming in, and things like that. And I think really I'm the only one. I'm the only one that does it, that still wears a mask. And I know that people probably look at me like, why is she still wearing a mask? Why? I'm not paranoid, but I do notice certain patterns and things that people do that causes me to still wear a mask. One thing you mentioned is making sure that you're washing your hands and things like that. There's a coworker that I have that I know for a fact this person does not wash their hands, even like coming out of the restroom. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm always like wiping down the surface, computer mouse, keyboards and things like that, because it's one of those things where I see certain things and it's like, and people may call me a germaphobe, and if they want to, that's fine. But because I know that that's something that people tend to do, and just not wash their hands, I'm just more particular, and I notice, and I take the actions to be able to protect myself as much as possible. I can't get everything, but that's a really great point that you brought up, as far as just making sure that you're washing your hands and just being aware of those things. And I will say too that COVID never went away. They just stopped reporting on it, but people still get COVID. We're still living in those times where it's like, viruses and all the things are around. So I'm just happy that you brought up this information so we can kind of keep it on top of mind that is something that we need to continue to do as far as those measures. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's just, we just want to just reduce the risk of disease, and just like you said, just washing your hands, making sure we keep our hands out of our nose and our mouth, and some people are they'll put their hand in their ear, and then later on they're shaking somebody else's hand and stuff. It makes you really aware of what you're doing because it's so easy. Hey, how you doing? Like that. And then you have people like you will see people that people look up to, like politicians, for instance. Trump it shows a horrible example of reducing risk, touching people. He already got some stuff jumping off on him that he's putting different types of disguising with makeup on his hands, and but shaking people's hands. Remember during the pandemic, a couple of people, there were a couple of politicians that died even during that time because they were around a lot of people. Remember, there was a little fuss about whether you should wear a mask or not. And it's like, if you tell me that I would be safer if I wear a mask, you go in there, you want to be safer, wear a mask, and then don't say anything else. That is enough for me that, I'm not wanting to look a certain way. It's like, no, I got to look good in here. So I'm going to take a chance on getting sick. It just doesn't make sense.
you know what, and it doesn't. And I kind of feel like there was almost like a separation of during that time, especially when COVID first hit, and you had people with the argument of wearing a mask and not wearing a mask. Yeah, it had to do with the pandemic and everything. But I think a lot of people kind of looked at it as whose side are you on? It was like Democrats wearing masks, Republicans not wearing masks, or I should say MAGA not wearing masks. It kind of had that thing going on to where if you are wearing a mask, you're on that side, and if you're not,
Yeah.
you're on. It had that whole thing going on too. So that's yeah.
That's a very, very good point, Carolyn. That's a very good point because usually when you look at this political stuff, is a constant in order to get people to agree with what one side is doing, they separate it. And that's the same thing that's happening right now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to us voting in these different areas, especially predominantly black areas. We need to work together. Look, don't get caught up in these separation, which a lot of these people, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. Right now, I'm telling you, look, I usually don't get in this kind of stuff, but the stuff that people that call themselves Republican are doing is horrific. When you talk about taking lives, and it's just becomes commonplace to these people, they act like, especially this man, I can't even think of what I really want to say. But you just have people, including the so-called president, that is horrific. So we got to speak up. That's why I'm speaking up. That's why Carolyn is speaking up. That's why Dr. James is speaking up. That's why Chef Dom is speaking up, and more people, more and more, and the doctors that come on this program and the nurses that come on this program to help to spread the word about reducing the risk of disease, infection, and illness is really important, okay? I want to stop for a minute just to give, this is a very new place that is open over in the Crenshaw district. It's called Tay's Food Tour, Renewed Wellness. Check out Fat Boy over there and tell them that the Mind of Nature with Dr. Zarif sent you over there. The address is 8760 South Broadway. It is a place that they have, seeded watermelon is a big thing now because most people have been selling a seedless watermelon, right? So
Right.
seedless, the seeded watermelon, the black seed oils, the moringa, the parasite tea cleanse, sour sop, tonic supplements, soaps, and other shampoos. They have it all over there. So check them out. That's Fat Boy, and he's at Renewed Wellness at 8760 South Broadway.
It's in
Also,
Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles, California. That's right. Yeah, that's really important to say.
Right.
Also, I would like to remember the 16th. I think we're looking at 16th. Dr. James will be here next Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, if I got that wrong, let me know. But Dr. James, and we love Dr. James on the show because he brings it great. We're going to be talking about what do you do when you're 60 and above. So we're like going to talk about that. Carolyn, that'll be something that's come in handy for you as many moons now. But lucky you. But we're going to talk about some of the things you can do as we become older and how wise it is to take these steps in order for us to live the optimal life. Okay? So remember that be Dr. James here on the Mind of Nature, and we're going to have a great time as we usually do. Anything else that you want to add to it?
I just have a comment over here on Instagram from Eclipse Solet. Says good morning and
Good morning.
early Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you.
Happy early Mother's Day. Thank you so much, and the same to you.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out there.
Good. That's definitely in place. And remember, you can be apple tree is still an apple tree even if it doesn't bear apples, if it doesn't bear fruit. So a mother can be a mother without her. You don't have to have children in order to be a mother. So I wanted to congratulate you. I want to congratulate those people that are doing things to help their family get healthier by exercising, by eating healthier, by getting deeper sleep, and by having periodic meetings coming together. Let me tell you that there's nothing like family. There's nothing like family. There's going to be somebody that you may not get along with as well, but if you had a family of yourself, like you can duplicate yourself, you would definitely have moments that you didn't get along with yourself. It is just what we do. It's just how we are.
That
And
is so funny and so true.
yeah, I mean, people go head up with themselves. It's just
Yeah.
like, this is me. I'm having an argument with me because that defensive mechanism sometimes is out of control. And it is actually wonderful to have a mixture of people that you love. All people are not going to agree with you. Just like all people aren't going to take care of themselves, like the things that we're talking about, vaccination. That's on you. That's your life. But think about polio. Think about all of the other the things, the childhood diseases. We're still talking about measles now. Let's talk about all of these different things that without vaccinations. Think about where we would be without vaccinations. And yes, we've had some experimentation. We have some bad reports in our history about certain medicines, how they're taken, but there is also that other side of the story. More lives have been saved than lives have been taken from vaccinations. I'll put it like that. And that's a bold statement because I know somebody would want to debate me right now about that. But what are you doing to make situations better? What are you doing to make people more alert? What are you doing to help people to be healthier? And that's what we're doing here on the mind of nature. Okay?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Zarif. For anyone, again, if you joined late, Dr. Zarif gave some great information about the hantavirus and just what a virus is and ways to be able to protect yourself and to stay healthy during this time. Because I feel like we almost had kind of like a preparation with COVID as far as knowing what to do right away versus not knowing, as far as the mask and the things like that, being aware of. Just great information. And thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers. We appreciate everyone that came by and dropped comments. Eclipse Soleil says some still think it's not necessary to to vaccinate our children. And yes, that is true. But that's why we are learning that information now. So just great information. Again, thank you all so much for joining us, for liking, for sharing, commenting, and doing those things that we appreciate. Dr. Zarif, back to you.
There are, it's a belief system. Like some people, they'll have their children naturally, and it works out good for them. Those are things that there are lifestyles that really work for people. And then you have other people that may need to have the nurses and doctors on hand when they're delivering a child, because there may be some kind of difficulty with that child being born.
Yes.
So we're not saying stop doing what you're doing. The world is plentiful. It's but it's just all kinds of choices. I was looking for a panoply, but there is a panoply of choices that you can choose from. And again, keep in mind, where would we be without the help of vaccinations? I know they have a bad reputation, but where would we be? And most of those things that we iterate about the vaccination are things that we've heard, not proven, but those things that we heard. And just so keep that in mind. We cannot be a strong nation, we cannot be a strong people, a strong culture, if we're not eating whole food, plant-based foods to keep us strong. We cannot do the things that we want to do as far as mobility if we don't do exercises. And you have people that are living longer, but they're not living stronger. You see, yeah, they breathe, but a lot of them are, they're bedridden. A lot of them, they may walk, but they don't do any raising of their exercise and challenging the muscularity. They get sleep, but some people oversleep, and then you get a whole different kind of body response. But keep in mind that everything in balance. And lastly, again, remember the human touch. You cannot replace human touch. I miss a lot of people in my family because that's one of the things I would love to see them and get that big hug. It's a beautiful thing, So that's it for today. From myself and from Carolyn, I'm Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist.